Thank you for visiting PianoLessonsForLife.com. My name's Greg. I'm your personal piano professor. Going to take a look at some things you might find helpful if you're interested in jazz improvisation. We're going to work with the song "There Will Never Be Another You." This is one of the jazz standards I got in school to help me kind of learn about improvisation and how jazz chords flow along. And if you look at the website, you'll see a chart with the changes in the melody there for you. If you're too lazy to pick out the melody yourself, if you want to get your ear stronger, there's also a Oscar Peterson jazz version, which is I'm no Oscar Peterson, but you can kind of check him out on there too. And we're going to talk about that. First thing you're going to want to do is basically learn the chords to the song. Now we're in E flat. Key of E flat, you're going to want to know the E flat scale, which is this: E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and E flat. And I like the E flat scale. It fingers nicely. And I'm going to be using that motion and that scale a lot when I solo too, so it's always a good idea to practice your scales. You might want to get a copy of the Hannon book. I'm always recommending that on the website, or Hear and Play has kind of a video version of Hannon for those of you that don't like to read. Okay, so basically chord changes and the melody go like this. And we've got a D minor 7 flat 5 to a G9. Just one note difference there, and the bass would play a G, okay? That's a C minor 7. I'll move the whole thing down a bit. D minor 7. B flat minor 7 to E flat to 5 of A flat. To minor, major to minor, E flat to C minor, and then there's an F7 there. There's my D minor 7 flat 5, and I can just change a G there to make that G9 chord with a G flat at 9 chord. And then C minor 7, B flat, 2-5 of A flat, to E flat, minor, to a dominant 7 C chord, and then its written chords are E flat to D7, straight ahead, and then G7 to C7, to F minor 7, 2-5, 1, B flat 7. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do is know the melody. Now in jazz arrangements, you'll hear, if you're playing with a combo, basically we'll play the melody first, and then we'll take times to have all the instrumentalists have solos. In this case, there's only one, me, so the middle section or the second time through would be a solo, where I would use different chords and different techniques to play off that melody. And then the third time would be a repeat of the melody to kind of get back into it. So you're going to want to know some things here. First of all, to know your chords, because part of playing a solo is breaking up those chords. I can use those solos. That's that D minor 7 chord. I can use broken chords or arpeggios as part of my solo. So you're going to want to not only be able to play your chords in block form, but also know the chord tones. And again, that's the upper extensions too. Like for instance, an E flat chord, E flat major 7th, which starts as E flat, G, B flat, D, and then if you want to add some tensions that you'll find in jazz, there's the 9th and the 11th and the 13th, which is also an F minor chord. So again, knowing your chords and knowing them both in arpeggiated or broken chords like that, as well as block chords, is a good thing. The other thing is your scales. You know, you're going to see me be using scales, and basically in this one, I'm going to be using the E flat scale, which I like. It fingers nice. E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and E flat. And starting on the second finger here, or third, second finger, just so you can. Fourth finger over on D flat, third on E flat. Okay, there's the E flat scale, and you're also going to want to know the pentatonic scale in E flat, which is scale tones 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And I'll use that, or you can play the solo entirely with those 5 notes if you wanted to. And again, your blues scales are going to be another thing that you might use. The more of these techniques that you have under your fingers and in your mind, the better you're going to get at throwing them in. And that's the fun of improvisation, kind of going for something. Now, in jazz, there are a lot of what we call dissonant notes, and those would be things like, you know, the flatted thirds, the sharp 11ths, the flatted ninths, those kind of things. Dissonance, and one of the things I've learned about jazz is almost anything goes with it. It's hard to make a wrong note. The joke is in bands that if you're playing a regular song, you know, let's say we're playing a song in C, somebody hits an F sharp, we call it a red note, and the guy that hits that F sharp will say, close enough for jazz. And the reason he says that is because pretty much any note can be part of any chord. Like that note is actually a sharp 11th. Doesn't sound good in a country tune, but it might sound appropriate in a jazz tune as long as we get off of it eventually. So basically, all rules are out, and that's one of the fun things about jazz. Now, the other technique I use when I'm playing jazz is called chord substitutions or tritone substitutions. It allows me to improvise a little more with my left hand, and also gives my right hand more options for things to play. Tritone substitution, basically it's picking a 7th chord 3 whole steps away from the one you're supposed to go to. Like in the case of a 2-5-1 in E flat, we've got F minor 7 to B flat 7, and that happens in this song. Tritone substitution would be F minor 7, now we're going to B flat 7, 3 steps away would be a E chord, E 7th chord. That's 1, 2, 3 steps away. Bop, bop, bop. So I can go, instead of 2, 5, 1, I can go 2, 5. That's an E 7 chord instead of a B flat 7. And that gives it a jazzy sound. So instead of, that note turns it turns it to a flatted third, okay, over the E chord. That's why it sounds a little bit more short. Instead of, that's 2-5-1. Here's substitute E7. Okay, so I hope that makes a little bit of sense, and I'll be using those substitutions a lot. So I might now start to develop a solo. Okay, we're going to start, we'll kind of go around the melody. There's a substitution. Now to my A flat chord. Those chord tones in there, the minor third, 5, a 9th, okay. That's a pentatonic, a little run. Okay, and then I used pentatonic in there. I'm using chord tones from an F9 chord. And then my E flat scale. A substitute again. C minor 7, substitute. substitute again. And I'll use a bunch of substitute seventh chords and play the melody. What I did there was I took 3, 7, 9 voicings of seventh chords. So it started with an F sharp 7, F sharp 9 chord. It went down chromatically. F9, E9, there we go, and E flat 9, and then 2, and a substitute seventh chord. Okay, so if you need some help with the tritone substitutions, there's a link on the page to give you a little bit more of an idea of that. So I'm using a combination of things. In my mind, I'm thinking pentatonic scale, E flat major scale, tritone substitutions, and also syncopations in the jazz feel. I'm doing kind of a swing thing. Again, now you're going to play the melody first once, then the band will go around again, giving the soloist an opportunity to play. And I'm going to go ahead and do it for you here along with the band. I programmed the changes in here. This is just, you know, you're not supposed to copy me note for note. In fact, if you did it, you know, if I played it 2 times, it would be entirely different both times. So just to kind of give you an idea of how that might look, I'm going to go ahead and play it. Let's see if I got that in there again. Here, a little piano lick I programmed to start it off, and we'll do it at a nice bright tempo. Oh, maybe I should slow it down a little bit for you. Okay, here we go. I want to start that again. I didn't like that one, okay? It's a great thing about practicing. You can start again. And I'm going to quicken it up a little bit. We'll get it going here. I was concerned about the camera angle. That's what happened there. Here we go. Let's jack up the tempo. it's kind of great to have a kind of a keyboard to practice like that. I can play that 100 different times and get better at what I'm doing and find new things. And I suggest I love arranger keyboards just because I like to play with a band, and this allows me to do that without having to do that. So I try to keep it kind of simple, and I made some mistakes. You know, hopefully you'll make some too. The great thing in jazz is it's kind of easy to cover them because just about anything goes there. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of improvisation and my thoughts about how that works. And I'm going to be doing more of these songs and getting a little bit more into it on short videos like that. But basically, I don't give you a lot of exact stuff to do, but I'd like you to be able to sit down and use some of these tools, you know, chord tones, tritone substitutions, scales and arpeggios to help you be creative and make good solo. Thanks for visiting pianolessonsforlife.com. Again, my name's Greg. Put in a comment and request a song, or just let me know how you're doing. I get a lot of helpful feedback from people all over the country, all over the world, about what they might want to learn. And thanks again.